How's life?
Yeah, man, it's weird. I mean, you're probably fucking right busy, aren't you? But
It's busy, mate.
it's kind of weird. I think for us, like, it's kind of nice. You know what I mean? Just having a bunch of time and just like focusing on stuff. It's weird. Obviously, it's kind of like it sucks not being able to be like in the front lines and helping PTs out as much, but at least you guys are still doing that. How are you though?
All right, mate. Just all it is like it's content, and we're building shit tons more content than we've ever done in our lives.
Yeah.
In a short space of time. It's just prioritizing what's needed now, knowing it's uncertain about how long it's going to last. So it's fine. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, it's dealing with PTs. So it's the stuff that I want to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I saw you guys got the podcast going.
No, we haven't.
Oh.
You know what's happened? We just someone requested for us to do the podcast off the back of the webinars.
Okay.
It was like, all right, fuck it, we'll just throw it onto that. Because Pure Gym won't do one without it being all
PG and all. Yeah. I'm gonna start listening to it. A bit of competition, but no big deal, you know.
Mate, we never bother with it. So.
No, I'm kidding. I don't care. But yeah, cheers for doing this, man. I know a few people Elliot requested you, and I thought I wanted to get you on here. I want to get Nick on here, and I thought it'd be cool to get you guys on the other end because fucking how many have you done the last 3 weeks?
Mate, over 50.
Yeah, easy. And I was thinking even today, I was like, fuck, I'm going to get him when he's got no energy. He's just did about 5 Zooms. But whatever. I'll get you at your best, won't I?
I'll ramp it up, mate. Plus, this is nothing to do with Pure Gym.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's good, man.
I can be me.
Yeah.
There's nothing involved to influence me to be good.
Yeah, perfect. So, listen, man, thanks for coming on the Fitness Burrito Podcast. You know what? First thing, what are your thoughts on the name? Because I've been waiting to ask you since I came up with it.
Mate, I don't like burritos for a start.
So here we go.
I'm that typical English guy who just likes plain food, like predictable as fuck, basically. So, yeah.
And I'm the complete opposite. I'm that Canadian guy who just goes against the fucking grain, basically. No, cool. All right. So yeah, thanks for coming on. So this is episode 5. So we've got Ant Park here. I was actually kind of thinking on throughout the day, I was like, it's kind of like the whole, like the grasshopper mentor mentee thing. Like you've kind of mentored me through probably the last 4 or 5 years, really. So I came into the business, which is crazy when you think about it. Like I remember still to this day, you and an MG, Marcus George, convincing me not to go to David Lloyd's, and look where we are now. Now I've got you on my podcast, which is not even that popular, but whatever. You're still on my podcast.
It will be.
Hopefully.
Yeah, the right people are here, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's just crazy. So just to give a bit of intro on the Fitness Burrito Podcast for anybody who hasn't listened up before. My name's Dan Q. I'm a coach. I'm a PT. I'm a PT business mentor who happens to work with my guest today, Ant Park. We work for Pure Gym, which is the biggest fitness company in the UK and one of the biggest in Europe. And we're taking over the world. We're in the States now. It's great. So Corona kind of probably affected that a little bit, but nevertheless, we're still out here grinding. So I'm just going to let Ant introduce himself a little bit. So Ant, tell the people what you're about, where you're from, all that jazz.
So background, how far back do you want me to go here, mate?
Far back as you want, really. I mean, I remember, maybe not as far as Luke Johnson, but,
so
give us a nice little spiel.
Yeah, for those who are watching and listening to this and don't know the joke, we had a guy on the podcast on the webinar last week who'd done a 22-minute intro. Well, I don't think that long.
It was great, though. It was great.
It was funny. So, been in the fitness industry since I was 18. Prior to that, I've got the stereotypical story of coming from a sporting background, then coming into fitness because of that passion for fitness and so on. It's always been in my life since I was a kid, influenced by my mum and dad. So that was great. I played professional football till I was 18, then got released just before I signed professional papers.
Who'd you play for?
Mate, I was at City and then I went to Bury. So you can't really count Bury, seeing as though they've just gone into administration and left the league basically.
So sorry, side tangent here. How does a guy who was signed with City, right, is a Man U fan? Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense.
Nah, I used to get some grief for that as well, mate. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Just because there's probably gonna be more English people listening to this. Anytime football comes up, we have to just double check the facts.
Yeah, and bear in mind, Man City wasn't the Man City of they are now. Like, Man City when I was there was League One, probably bottom of the Premier League at that point, so they wasn't successful at any point. But the setup was good. Like, played football till I was 18, so went from there to Bury. Bury didn't sign me over, not because of a dodgy knee injury, like all ex-pro footballers. Bullshit. That's
what I say every time. Could have gone pro. Knees blew up.
Yeah, I just wasn't good enough. That made me suppose fall out of love with playing football. And actually, I was talking to someone through this last week. I've only played one game of football since that.
Really?
In a charity game, yeah. And I just fell out of love with football, although that kind of took me into... So whilst I was doing that as a kid, I was really passionate about coaching and refereeing and leadership and stuff like that. So I used to, like, as my weekend job, I used to referee under 7s, under 8s games, get paid for it, that type of stuff. Coach at the weekends in the same team that I grew up in. Yeah. So I've always been really, really passionate about leadership, coaching, supporting, helping people. I was really passionate about kids football and kids sport. Grew up through, like, 18-year-old, I was doing sport development work, which is like, you probably would have this in Canada as well. And it was like the local council and the local trust would pay for sports coaches to go into schools instead of the PE teachers being, because the PE teachers used to be the normal teachers that used to teach them English, maths and everything. Yeah. So we used to go to schools, mate, and I loved it. And that scoped off into dealing with kids with antisocial behaviour. And I really, really loved that type of stuff.
Yeah, you're made for that. You're made for that, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been said, mate. It's been said. That then got me into personal training, actually, because I started to do fitness classes for these kids, 15, 16, who were pretty troubled in an area. So that got me in. I got my level 2 through the PFA, which was like the Professional Football Association, which basically, because I played professional football, I ended up winging it for free. So I got that, started with the kids, started part-time at Fitness First, which was the biggest operator in the UK at that point, middle market-based gym. Fitness coach for a year or two, so learned my trade, cleaning machines, doing inductions, doing classes, working on customer service. I think what's missing in the industry right now, if I'm dead honest, is that level of labour on the gym floor, learning your trade from a young age. Qualified as a level 3 personal trainer through NASM before they were with Premier Training. So I regard it now as the best course on the planet. I regarded it back then as one tough hell of a bitch to get through. It was tough to me. Yeah. I even think I failed first time.
You think it's easier now?
Well, I've seen the online version of the course now. It's tough, mate.
Yeah.
The NASM one is tough. I don't know. I can't talk about others. It's tough, mate. It's tough. I got my missus doing their online diploma. It's tough. But anyway, so I qualified with them when I was 19-ish, something like that. Self-employed PT on the gym floor at 20 years old. So as a self-employed PT, I've been in the industry for 14 years, but I've actually been in the fitness industry for about 16 in total.
Nice.
In that time, Fitness First, I really struggled at the start. Shit personal trainer, done everything wrong, watched the wrong PTs, followed the wrong people, look back and cringe, had no direction, no business acumen, literally nothing. There was no kind of support back then. Then Fitness First launched this Success course, which is like a 3-day business course. That helped turn my business around, which is why I'm passionate about what I'm doing now in Pure Gym. That helped me turn my business around, maybe see it in a different light. I stopped treating it as a hobby and started to treat it as a career. And that was a big turning point for me, I'm not going to lie. So like drip fed, started to get busy. Then I got too busy. Fitness First went bump in the UK. So like basically what that means in the north, it means that they got into administration. There was no more gyms in the north of the UK. They just moved down south. Yeah. Left us, and this is the genuine God's honest truth. It left us with 5.5 weeks to find something new. Yeah. A new base. So me and 2 personal trainers went and got a studio, city centre of Manchester, shared lease, didn't pay anything for the first year. Had no idea how to do it and where to start. We just literally took action with the client base that we had and then cracked on from there. In the process of this, I started to do my UKSCA qualification because I was still really passionate about being in pro sport. And I was at a real conflict of dealing with general population and wanting to be in pro sport because it was something I was really passionate about. Qualified, started to work voluntarily in rugby clubs, MMA clubs, boxing clubs, done a bit of an internship at a rugby club. And whilst through that process, balancing the studio, it got a little bit too much for me. I was working 25, 80-hour weeks. My missus fell pregnant at this point, had my first child, and I was never, ever at home, like never at home.
How old were you when that happened? When
25, 20, yeah, just turned 26.
So 26, studio, Mrs. Prego, you're doing internships, you're still studying. Yeah, that sounds like a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah, and to be honest, mate, and I don't mind kind of sharing this, at that point, it was probably the lowest point of my life. Like, I really struggled with kind of feeling low, being motivated to go to work. Like, I had this kind of thing on my shoulders, like I was bringing a kid into the world, so I had to work all the hours God send, all of that type of stuff. Then I was conflicted with, pro sport, and it's always what you wanted to do, follow your dreams. So it was a tough time for me in that 12 to 18 months.
I think that relates to a lot of people, though. And I know we're doing a bit of a side tangent on your intro, but I know quite a few PTs that I've spoken to in the last year, and they're at that kind of like end of the road where they don't know if they push for their dreams or, like they sacrifice maybe the relationships they have to do that. And you know what I mean? Like there's a lot sometimes you have to try to balance when you're trying to really go for it. And I think it's great and it's courageous if you do, but then at the same time, you're going to feel bad about it in 3 years' time if it doesn't pan out. So it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, and what I kept getting back, mate, from the S&C world was like, if you wanted the job that you wanted, which was, let's say, in a pro rugby club, pro football club, you were working 25 hours a week, for example, and the equivalent of that was, when I worked it out at the time, was the equivalent of me doing about 18 sessions on the gym floor in revenue. Yeah. And although I wanted to go passion over revenue all day long, like at this point, mortgage, kid on the way, it had to take priority. So it was one of my biggest things that in my head at that point, I was like, right, let's park this and let's do something within the studio that you can do something and can control. You can bring revenue into it. You can get people results. And then if there's anything else that comes of it, mate. And then off the back of that, like the other two lads in the studio were doing trainer and assessing, like level 2, level 3. So they were bringing all these kids in, similar to what I was like at 17, 18. And then you'd go off into these new gyms. And let's say I was 27 at this point, and they'd go into the gyms around the city centre and come back and they'd be struggling. So we built something called a business coach, which is now in Pure Gym, which was supporting the PTs. It was in a little room. They used to come once a week or once a fortnight. We used to sit down with them, support them, wrote a bit of a manual to keep them accountable. And then my love for supporting and developing PTs started from that moment. And it was kind of like pro sport went that way. And then actually I was 50-50 business mentoring, supporting PTs and coaching as well. And I've never fell out of love of coaching at all. A lot of PTs were like, I get sick of dealing with general population saying the same thing all the time. Now I still love it to this day. Like I really bread and butter of the job. Yeah, is me. Then last bit on this tangent of an intro. It's more or less.
Mate, I'm timing you because you said 22 minutes, mate, and I'm timing you. We're about 14 now.
There's a lot to talk about. So last point, wrapping this up. I then proposed something to Pure Gym because they were growing at a rapid rate to support their PTs. At first they said no, and then come back and they were like, right, yes, do it, but go and prove a point first.
Did you propose this, when you were at Pure Gym?
Yeah, no. This
before. Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I had a bit of a chat. And then I come in, and Matt, the regional manager at the time, was like, we want to get you in a gym with 10,000 members, which was Urban Exchange. And I want you to prove your point in there with this system that you've got. Prove my point there, move to another facility to manage a gym. Because I never wanted to be a gym manager. Like, no disrespect to any gym manager out there at all. Yeah. Like, because my perception of gym management was health club management, which was managing multiple different departments and so on. Whereas actually the Pure Gym management and the new management business model since budget gyms, it's not a budget gym anymore, but you know what I mean, come into play. More so, if you see it right, it was coaching the team, coaching the personal trainers within the facility to run and maintain the facility and create that atmosphere and engagement for members. And because of that, I got a buzz from it. And that's kind of, and then I come into this role. I was only a manager for about 15 months. I come into this role after that, and I've been in this role for 5 or 6 years. So now head up PT with Nick. PT business managers for Pure Gym. So yeah, never really planned on this, but it kind of makes sense when I talk it back with someone like that, that's the route I'm doing. Because if you think coaching and refereeing at the age of 14, 15 is coaching and developing people, and we're still in now. So yeah, that's the story, man.
Man, that's good. A lot of new things I think a lot of people would know. You know, I've known you for the last 4 or 5 years, and I didn't know the business coach came out of your studio. And like you said, for those of you guys that don't know what the business coach is, it's just kind of like a developmental resource that Ant made up that all the PTs use in the company. We've got about 4,000 or 5,000 PTs in the company, which is crazy. You mentioned UKSCA as well, which is like your strength and conditioning kind of credentials and stuff like that. So cool. Awesome. So usually on the podcast, as you know, we like to kind of talk about everything from training to nutrition to mindset, whatever that might be. We try to just help just kind of like the average population practically apply it. Today's going to be slightly different. We're still going to talk about a few aspects of that. I think that's going to relate to them, especially as consumers. But we're going to talk about just a lot of the fitness industry because you know a lot and you've been working and talking to a lot of people. So I thought might as well take that opportunity while we're here. So that takes us to the first question, which was, what's your perception of the fitness industry right now? Because obviously it's crazy. Everyone's trying to be an online coach. Obviously yourself and myself included, we're helping people trying to bring their business from a face-to-face, system to now, hybrid and one-to-one fully online. So where do you think what's your perception of the industry right now? And where do you think it's going to be the next 3 to 6 months? Because I think that's what we're all kind of looking at, aren't we? We're trying to figure out where the hell are we going?
Yeah. And I've shared this on my Instagram page that I think the fitness industry right now is, and I want to pause on the fact that I'm not thinking about here the brand new PTs that are currently struggling. I'll get back to them in a minute.
Yeah.
I think the fitness industry right now is the best it's ever been.
Cool.
And it's a controversial point, but everything that I've backed on about for years in a frustration point of view, and everything I've hated the industry for, I'm not going to lie and hold back on that. Everything I've hated the industry for the fixed mindset it's had. I've hated the industry for the lack of adaptation. I've hated the industry for that one approach, that fixed approach, the tunnel visioned approach sometimes of being trainer centered and not client centered. Yeah. Overnight has had to go bam on its head. And for me, there's only good that can come from that. Because these personal trainers who just sold time prior to this, if they've been proactive and had a bit more of a growth mindset, they've gone, hold my hands up. I was delivering a shit service and now I need to turn this on its head and turn this online world. Now, so from a current position, I think it's in a good spot. And I actually think in 3 to 6 months time, which was your question, it's going to be in an even better spot for this and what I try and do is to come out of the fitness industry as much as I possibly can, because it's in such a bubble and you're so wrapped up into it all the time that you forget about reality sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
When I'm searching through, I don't know, other pages like you Weight Watchers, because I used to do this when I write weight loss content and stuff. Anything else that's out there, Slimming World or any community groups or anything like that that's online, everyone is 10 times more health conscious than ever. Mm-hmm. I see anyway. And I firmly believe that will only benefit PTs in 3 to 6 months time when the gyms reopen.
Do you think, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, go on, mate. No, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I know you were talking about, I know you say you're going to touch base on the new PTs and stuff like that, but before I forget, do you think this whole situation with COVID-19 and people shitting themselves that they can't transition their business online and they might not have the service, to your point, do you think that's going to potentially affect the influx of PTs coming into the fitness industry in the UK? Like if we just look at the UK, like in the months to come when things slow down and we get back to reality, do you think people are going to go, no way in hell that's for me now, because I don't know how I can handle that if it comes again?
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. Like if I'm dead honest, potentially, yeah. But I also think that training providers can react to that in a really positive way. And so the level of business support from a training provider point of view, and this is not me pointing fingers at training providers, because I hate people who do that as well, because still commercial gyms take these PTs on and don't support them in most cases. But I think training providers have to equip PTs with supporting them to make sure they come out of their courses with some element of business knowledge and understand that they can't just survive with one revenue stream. You just can't. And that's not just the fitness industry that needs to kind of recognize that. There's loads of other areas. Like you look at my mate he's got his own barber shop. Like literally, what can you do in that scenario? You just you
can't do anything.
Yeah, but so from that extent, he can do nothing. Like personal trainers can do 3, 4, 5 additional things now, but that's not ever delivered to you on that training, on that course or anything like that. So I think personally, yes, potentially there might be a short-term risk of not bringing in as many PTs into the industry because people are scared to be self-employed. But then off the back of that, I think training providers should go out there now to really sell add-ons and bolt-ons to their service when it comes into business acumen, online support and that type of stuff.
Okay. Do you think, I always think that like we are getting to a point in a weird way where even in the UK, and this is everywhere. So obviously the same thing in Canada, same thing in the US. I felt like shit was getting saturated, but it's hard for me to say that because we have gyms with like 5,000 people in it with like 6 PTs. And I'm like, well, we could probably easily fit another 5 or 6 to your point with a great business acumen and they're supported and we coach them. So realistically, we could probably fit more in, but still, I think it was just saturated in the sense that there was just a lot of shit PTs out there. Yeah. And I think this is going to weed them out. And hopefully, to your point again, they're going to have a better service because they've been forced to adapt. But it's going to be very interesting to see what the next 3 to 6 months brings, in my opinion.
Sorry about my lad in the background, mate.
No, that's all right. I've got kids next door. I'm expecting them to scream a little bit too.
Yeah, keep him caged up for 24 hours. He's about to go mad at this point.
Yeah. No, awesome. I also think, and I want to get your opinion, and I mean, I know what you're going to say anyways, but the PTs that were killing it before, they're just killing it even more, aren't they? Yeah,
I think, listen, there's a lot of good examples of PTs that have flipped this on its head and gone, right, let me attack this. And I think that's been the difference in, like, it's that self-acceptance. And I've talked about this a lot recently, so I might skim the surface and you may need to dig out some context in it. But, like, everyone's been dealt with this really shitty card, let's be real, where everyone's had to go in through an element of mourning stage of going, oh my God, what am I going to do? Yeah. And I think PTs that have been able to be really proactive and act on that type of stuff and throw the right support out there and go and reach out to the clients are the ones that have just gone through that morning, gone through that weird stage really quickly and gone, right, let me face into this as much as possible. Now, what I will say is that's not easy to do.
No.
That's not easy to do at all. And there will be still 3-4 weeks in, PTs be sat there and going, how are these coaches doing this live thing, doing these videos, and that's okay. Like everyone works differently, and this needs to be that level of acceptance in this really uncertain time that people are going to react to things like differently. And I think that's really, really important to try and get across. But back to your question, yes, the PTs that now bolt on online services to the business, not because I think online training is the best thing since sliced bread, because I'm an offline coach and face-to-face coaching, there's nothing better than it. Like online coaching all day long, and I don't care what anyone says about that. That's my opinion. Like, you can't beat that face-to-face coaching environment. You just can't. But if you add that online service and the multiple layers of service that comes with the distance support from the face-to-face coaching, right now, like, you're going to be doing fucking very well.
Yeah. And it takes time to build that too. Like, I've been doing that, for the last 3 to 4 months, just trying to get the processes in place and learning and getting feedback. Mate, it's fucking tough. And it's like, that's why I think a lot of PTs went from face-to-face to trading time and then gone, shit, I don't know what I'm doing, which is cool. And they're going to learn. They're going to learn, aren't they?
Yeah, it is. And the thing for me is, there's been 2 types of PTs that's going to suffer in this environment right now. The brand new ones that can't get a grant for nothing. They haven't got revenue. They can't go and do anything like that. And that's shit. And I'll encourage them PTs to reach out to me, to you, to whoever, to support them, because at times like this, I would go against everything I said normally to PTs to go out and get revenue.
Yeah, 100%.
Aggressive sales, go and flood your private profile and talk to family and friends and stuff like that. But the other PTs that I'm seeing right now who are struggling are the ones that have been in the business for years with a fixed mindset. They've just sold time. They've not delivered a service. They've winged the way to a successful business from being in a 5,000, 6,000 member gym, but that's massaged the fuck out their ego. And then they're suffering because they haven't done a fucking tax return for that long, so they can't. But that's like, listen, and I'm not going to sit here and say with a halo above my head and say I run a perfect business and didn't do certain things like that in my early career. But fact is, they're the ones suffering. You've only got yourselves to blame, but I still see them fucking moaning. You know what I mean? It's facing into this shit, mate, isn't it? It's facing into it at a point. And I try as much as I possibly can, mate, to take myself out of the shoes that I'm in and go, right, if I was them now, what would I do? Honestly, I'd flood online. I'd be supporting groups. I'd be doing loads of stuff to be proactive. But if I have to bring money in to feed my kids, I'd also be down at Tesco or Aldi stacking shelves for whatever money it is through the night. You've got to do what you've got to do.
Yeah, but it's realistic.
Yeah, my PT business would never be left because I know I'm going to gain revenue from it long term because that all experience, you just need to learn and face into this stuff. I suppose.
No, that's good. I like that. Cheers for that. Cool. So we'll move on to the next one because I'm conscious that you've got, kids at home. The missus is probably going to be like, get your ass over here. Help me cook dinner.
Don't worry about him. He's been in all day. I normally go for a walk with them 1 till 2 when I have that little 12 till 2 break in my day, but I haven't been able to do that today. So that's why he's like a caged animal. So
that's all right. He's going to be, I can't wait to see that kid when he's about 17. Oh my God.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
That antisocial behavior work needs to be
Yeah, just take TikTok away from him, whatever you do. So second question, and this is, again, probably more tailored towards the PT. So I know some people probably listening to me like, why the fuck am I listening to this? Because it's all PT related. That's cool. Don't worry about it. Because you're probably still going to get bits and bobs out of it to realize that PTs are grafting their ass off to try to deliver a good service to you, which is hopefully what you take out of it if you're not a PT. So having interviewed 50 coaches in the last 3-4 weeks, if not more, and you've probably interviewed, I don't know how many more on top of that since you've been in your role. What have been kind of the biggest takeaways you've personally, I guess, taken from those interviews? So whether you've done Zoom interviews, podcasts with them, because you've pretty much interviewed the best of the best, in my opinion. Yeah,
we've done all right, mate. We've done all right. And I tell you what, there's a lesson from that as well, because, and there's a lesson for you here in this as well, because we had a conversation last week about who to get on this podcast and that type of stuff and reaching into contacts. But right now, like all I did to get all of them coaches in, and don't get me wrong, it's within their interests as well. I just took it by being a cheeky little bastard and DMing them, emailing them, and just chased them until they answered. There's a message there for PTs as well, is that if there's a person that is like an online business that you really want to strive to be like go and harass them. Like if Dan's someone that you want a podcast like him, if you want a coaching business like him, his social media content, go and be cheeky and get in the DMs and ask for that information, because I can guarantee 99.9% of the time they'll give it to you. And if they ignore you, they're probably a wanker.
It's funny that you say that too, because I have PTs that are in my community groups because I opened it up and just made it accessible for everybody. And at first I was like, why the fuck are you in my group, right? And then I realized, you know what? I get it. I do the exact same thing. And if anything, it's just going to help everybody at the end of the day. And I just had to take a step back and realize that I do the exact same thing, to your point, mate. Right?
One of the quotes that I remember on my UKFCA course, and we were talking, my tutor at the time was a guy called Mark Simpson, who was the head of strength conditioning for GB cycling. And he said, a good coach is a good thief. I may have life. But back to the point. So the points that I kind of took out from the main points, and I'll try and relate this to you guys as consumers as well, by personal trainers, is like at moments like this, and at in moments in life, and I don't want to sound like fucking Tony Robbins here or something stupid like that, but embrace the uncertainty that we're going through. So like, you react in a way where you want to hide away for a few days, fucking hide away for a few days. But then I think from a level of behavior change and how to level up from that and being in that lull and so on is like certain things like one habit a day. So like I don't know if it's a post-it note that you can just write onto the post-it note and stick it on your fridge, on your cupboard, on your car, on whatever it is that you see. And it's just one habit that you get through to achieve that day. That's helped quite a lot for the guys on our Mentor Academy at the minute who've struggled a little bit with the transition to do this stuff. And that might be that one social media post. It might be that one walk. It might be that. So that, I think, has really benefited a lot of people. I think we had a discussion with Emma Story-Gordon and Dr. Mike around that type of stuff. So that one habit, that one behavior to embed and just embrace the level of uncertainty. There's no blue to get through stuff like this at all.
Yeah.
I think also what I've not liked is that you've got a crew on this side turning around and saying, this is a really great time for fat loss. Like, there's no distractions. You can't go out. You can't eat takeaways. You can save money. And then you've got a crew on this side and going, actually, it's not a really good time for fat loss. You shouldn't really think about that right now.
Yeah.
So them two teams at the minute.
I've noticed that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny that you bring that up.
Yeah, that's quite confusing, I think, for a lot of consumers. So that's no different than real life. So I think people escalate that. It depends. Like, have you got kids? No. Have you been furloughed from your role? Yes. Okay, you've got a shitload of time right now. So it's great for fat loss. It's also a great time to be bored, so keep your mind occupied. So it might be really, really good for you. Have you been furloughed? Have you got 2 kids and you've got to run around them? Is health and fitness a priority right now? Should you be thinking about dieting? Probably not. So it always comes back to depend. So I think from a consumer and a personal trainer's point of view, personal trainers stop dictating your beliefs in that way. And always going to depend on the person. Yes, there's an argument there, there's an argument here, but just offer some quick fire solutions. And from a consumer's point of view, just I think be realistic, like manage your own expectations. Like, if there's other priorities right now that's not managing, controlling you, tracking your nutrition intake on MyFitnessPal because you're managing homeschooling the kids, etc. Like, that shit's not important right now. Keeping your mental health in the right places, which might be activity and eating a little bit cleaner and more conscious. And my last point, mate, will be kind of similar to what I said before. In times of overwhelm and this level of anxiety and stuff like that, I think there's a lot to be said, and this might contradict my point, but there's a lot to be said about taking action. And that action can be one small habit that you put on that Post-it note, or it could be that one big project that this has kicked you up the ass to go and do. So face into the stuff that scares you and probably leaves you a little bit uncomfortable, and take action, because a lot of good can come out of this scenario and situation. So they're my main points that I would take out of the stuff that I've spoke about. And they're not really, we talk about nutrition. I can talk to you about bloody programming and how I think programming needs to be the same in the house with body weight than the same as it does in the gym, and the times of that. But right now, I think real life is more appropriate, which is the points that I've just covered.
And I think it relates to a lot of people anyways. Like, the first thing you were talking about, how you got all these people on, was essentially just getting your hands dirty and just messaging a bunch of people, networking, which is shit that, like, we should do anyways. You know what I mean? And I've started to do that in the last couple of weeks, and just kind of reach out and start asking people and pester it. And it's crazy how much good comes out of it. It comes back to the whole, some people are going to just probably feel a little bit bad about themselves, which is fine, right? Because this is crazy. And a lot of people are in a lot worse situations than we are, because we're fortunate at the moment. But a lot of people are going to look at this as like opportunities, like go make more money, build a business, build your brand, build more content, whatever that is. So I think it's just everyone's like going to be different, to your point. But yeah, I do like what you said about how there's 2 groups right now with, and obviously you talked about like the losing weight thing, but I even see it with like can you build muscle right now? No. And yes, you can. Right. And you're just like, well, if you know the fucking principles with nutrition and training, you can do whatever you want. But again, is it correct for that person? Maybe, maybe not.
The argument is still the same as when the gyms were open, is my point. Like, that's not, like, the argument has not changed. So there's no point making an issue out of it. It's, if you are a PT dealing with your clients right now, the first thing you should turn around and say is, are you okay? And what support in this situation? What support can I help you with? Where do your priorities lie right now? Where does this sit in it? And then whilst it sits there, how can I support you there? It's honest. It's a general conversation like that. It's not, let's flick a switch to be this super amazing Zoom class instructor coach overnight, because just because you're dead worried and you're flapping all over the place and you don't know what to do first, and you need revenue coming in, go right, bam, put that button on. Only 3 people turned up. Okay, no shit. Why? Because you've not been in there and asked your clients and so on. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said, mate. What is great is the fitness industry has never been more consumer and client centered, because it's been forced to be. So only good things can come from that.
Did you notice? I saw a good thing on social media the other day. I think his name's Coach Carl or Coach Mike or something. But he was just saying how, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but you don't really see as much going on from influencers right now. Like, I don't personally. I don't know. Have you noticed that?
I don't really follow any, so I'm not in that bubble, but I can imagine so, because they've just been swamped by everyone else, haven't they? So like, just doing their thing that they were doing. And also, what's been great about this is I haven't seen a shitty health product pop up on my Instagram feed at any point, like a booty or anything like that, plainly because there are actual real life solutions out there that people are reaching into over that type of shit. So again, it's another great thing that's come of it.
Definitely.
So yeah, mate, I agree with Carl, and he's a good lad, him actually, mate.
Yeah. So no, I thought I'd ask if you've seen that. Cool, that was good. So now this is probably going to be more tailored to consumers now, because I think it's good to get your take on this. So what's your advice for consumers right now when it comes to navigating the field of a million online trainers? And obviously it's going to be dependent on what your goal is, isn't it? But because so many people are doing it, what would you look for if you were trying to buy a service or product right now?
Same things I said before, like, the situation shouldn't change the consumer's approach to buying a service like personal training.
I guess marketing is going to be nuts, though. You know what I mean? I think 100%. Advertising and marketing. So that's probably going to switch them a certain way.
Yeah, 100%. And I was speaking to one of the regional managers from Pure Gym. They're like, there's so much out there. It's actually slightly overwhelming. I wouldn't know where to start. And I think the steps that I would make if I was a consumer is, who do I buy into as a person? Mm-hmm. So who do I resonate with? Like his videos, his content, all of that type of stuff. How do I relate to that and why? So that would always be at the forefront of my thinking. And then I would measure my purchase, probably if I was a consumer right now, with if they are out there proving that they are client-centered and not trainer-centered. So what I mean by that is, like, a lot of trainer-centered people will be maybe, I don't know, doing videos like a normal talking video about fucking, I don't know, how to increase your energy expenditure, how to increase your activity. And they're stood there talking like to a screen like this with their top off. Like, why's your top off, mate? You just scream with your light on, like, fucking get it. So yeah, I'd park them to one side because I fucking don't get it at all. And I'd be looking for someone who would be interested in me. And then if I was to start to make the first move into, maybe I'd look into the proof, the client results, the proof that they have. That's going to be majorly important because there's a lot of bullshitters out there. So the proof they have, I want to really believe that this person's got a level of competence. So I'd like to be impressed by their knowledge and I'd like to learn something from them. Mm-hmm. And I think the third point, and I think I'd stick by these ethos in buying more or less anything, but do they have really good technical ability in a sense of when they're, say, doing a movement or an exercise that you maybe have seen before but weren't sure about, might be a hip hinge from an RDL, it might be how to squat. Do they really talk you through that on a video, in their social media content? Do they break that down and show it? And the reason why that'd be, obviously, that I'm coming from this side, but I'm trying to put myself in my missus' shoes or my family's shoes, because I want to trust this person. If I'm paying them 100 to 200 to 300 pounds a month, that this person's going to get me results. And I think that's the way I would try and navigate through things right now. If you find, completely depends on the consumer and what they want. Because you're going to have people right now, let's say in current environment, like my missus, like a session for my missus right now would probably best to last 30, 40 minutes at the very, very maximum. And it's in and literally out, where they've got loads of time on their hands. So it depends on your situation. So analyze your wants and your needs. So what do you actually want? How does that, from a needs perspective, fit into your life? And then go off the stuff that I've just said, like relatability, competence, technical ability, and proof of results.
Cool. Just a quick question on that one is, let's say, for example, I want to coach and I find you and all those boxes are ticked for me. Like, realistically, how much should I be thinking about paying? Like, if that service is going to, obviously, let me just backpedal here. So we're assuming that person, once bought in, is going to buy the service no matter what it costs. But for those that aren't sure and they've never had a PT and they've never bought an online package or an online service, like, realistically, what should you anticipate paying, do you think?
In current world right now, if I was joining a group PT, wasn't the question, but I'm just going to put it out there anyway.
Yeah, you go tiers. Go tiers.
Yeah. If I was joining a group PT, it's like service right now, I'd probably be looking at paying anything between £30 to £80 a month. £80 a month will probably be top end with a PT who really believes in themselves and the service and the product they have. 30 will be probably a PT, if I'm dead honest, who doesn't believe they have all of their nuts and bolts in the service, and they're just kind of throwing it out there to be affordable and accessible, and they're going to put some stuff in it. Doesn't mean it's not going to be great, by the way. It's just probably their level of confidence in pricing their product and service. Bespoke one-to-one. Let's go fully distance online, so not virtual coaching, because that's now a new product.
It is. Yeah, it's crazy.
Isn't it? It's good though. So virtual, so online distance coaching, I would probably say in current world, £80 being the cheapest, up to £200 being the dearest. £200, I would be expecting somebody to have fantastic results, probably a good, decent level of transformations if we're looking at aesthetic point of view. A really good bulletproof service, proof of results, all of that type of stuff that I talked about before. So that's probably the price range. I think from a consumer point of view, if you're watching this and going, yeah, but actually, when do I know if I'm being ripped off? I think you need to do that digging beforehand, before you actually hand the cash over. But the standard online coaching right now is probably anything between £100 to £140 a month, but top end being £200. And then this new virtual world right now is probably the same as one-to-one PT, which is around, I'd say, £240 a month plus, because that shouldn't change in the level of pricing from a PT perspective. But it really depends on what a person wants and needs. If they're really self-motivated, can crack on, join a group session, do the lower price point, and you can control your nutrition, you've got time in your hands, all of that type of stuff. If you need that extra level of accountability, then that's where you should then step into a higher price point with more touch time with the PT on a one-to-one basis. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I think it does, because I think it's like anything else, right? If you're going to go buy a new barbecue tomorrow, you're going to go and fucking research about 25 barbecues before you pick one, right? Like, yeah,
and you want your mid-range, don't you? And that's what lacks in the industry, mate. That's what lacks. There's nothing there like a TripAdvisor or something. I can't go and search for, like, in some cases it's on people's social media, but there's not a lot of social proof out there for PTs.
There you go. There's a business idea for you right now.
Well, Mr. Sucks-I-Do was already on that business idea with a guy. He's got a new company called Open Coach, so that's launching soon. So he's beat me to it.
Oh, did he? Yeah, fuck, he's always got something on the go, doesn't he? Oh, cool. All right. No, cheers for that one. So usually, so just to give you some context, I don't know if you know this. So the whole idea of the Fitness Burrito, well, not the whole idea, obviously it's to help people. But one part of it was that we were always going to do flavor of the week, right? When we do flavor of the week, we always have a burrito. So whether you're vegan, veggie, I always cook you one and we fucking have it.
Or English.
Yeah. So we can't do that, obviously, because it'd be weird from a distance. But we still do the flavor of the week segment. So we're going to switch it up. Usually I just bring up like a journal article or some kind of like something different that people wouldn't think about. And then they might go, okay, that's how I could use that moving forward. Well, today's flavor of the week is going to be about kind of how you run your business. Because I think you've been a bit of an open book today, Ant, which is great. Because a lot of people have, probably learned a few things just about you. Yeah. So I just thought we'd ask you, I guess, just talk through your client process, I guess. So, who you look to work with and how you bring them into your business. And I guess just little things that you do to help people get results, because that might help the consumer and it might help PTs, I think, probably just up their game. So if you could just maybe talk through, it doesn't have to be crazy detailed, but just like a brief overview, maybe that'd be cool.
Okay. So I always used to stand by when it comes to bringing clients into my business that, like, people from a marketing sense will forget what you did and say to them in your content and all of that type of stuff, but they'll always kind of remember how you made them feel and stuff. So that was like my ethos of my business, and which is why I've had really good client retention over the years, and I stuck with a single client base that was my demographic. To give you anyone an insight into this, has always been, I was a city centre based PT, so it's always been corporate males. And that level of service, it really suited them. And I always attracted the managers, the senior management team, the CEO and stuff. And that just suited, my ethos suited that demographic. So I think from that, my client process from that would be always from the gym floor, because at my point, I was always on the gym floor. But like online, it would be constant content, relatable content over the stuff that we've already talked about. Mm-hmm. The onboarding process of that, and break this down at any point that you want to. The onboarding process would normally be a type form or a Google Doc that I used to send out to them. And that'd be like a pre-consult / inquiry form. So a bit of information about them.
Type form, as in like the software?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Google Drive, a Google form or a type form, a bit of information about them. So it was like an application form, bit of information about them to understand them a little bit more. And then I'd select like a call time or a video call time. So they'd then get back to me on a video call time. And then I would do a pre-consultation on the phone. And in that pre-consultation, there's certain things that I want to cover. So that's like the average weekly structure, what that looks like, why they're here, how they've heard from me, how they've heard about me, what they need, all of that type of stuff. But I want to get a scope of, at that point, their personality, their barriers, their frustrations, what they've tried in the past, what they actually want from this whole situation. So I just know that I don't want to waste more time if it's not someone for me or I'm not right for them, and so on. Once I've wrapped that up, I'd send that to them with an evaluation of, yes, this could really work. My available times for a consultation are X and Y. They book in for a consultation. And then in that consultation, I would normally go through an element of motivational interviewing or some needs analysis, that type of stuff, where I start to get, and I've told you about my demographic before, they were quite hard to open up, which is why I had layers in there prior to that to really get to know them. Consultation would go through motivational interviewing. So it'll be me talking 20%, them talking 8% of the time. Me asking certain things like what outcome you want from this, what they've tried in the past, the options, relaying back into the information pre-consultation form to get to a point where we've got that level of emotional connection slightly on a man-to-man kind of level. Summarize, kind of pack that up. I would normally send them an email saying, listen, that was like really good insight today. This is the bank of information I've got from you. And this is what my proposal is. So I used to kind of build like a bit of a proposal out. So I'm like, this is what you need, 2 or 3 sessions per week. These are the levels of service. These are potentially your nutrition options. And can you get back to me within 24 hours, either by a call, appointment, or whatever, just to confirm everything, and we can go from there. Send them over software. So over the past 2 years, I've send them over software with payment link. They'd drop into that, and then I'd set them up on the program and the service that was relevant to them. I would never do a weekly check-in with my corporate male guys. I've never done that, which for a lot of people raises eyebrows sometimes when I'm delivering that to PTs in workshops and seminars, because for my demographic, like, they need levels of accountability, but it needs to come from different avenues. And the different avenues would normally be very corporate. So like maybe I'd book in a call like this and we talk through things. How's it been? And they'd all have a set call every single week.
I'm just sorry, quick question. I didn't mean to cut you off. You know, when you were saying you would get them to pay, because I think this is interesting because everyone does this differently. Do you think some people would struggle with doing what you've done, which is get back to me in 24 hours to make that decision? And I guess when you do that, or when you did that, how often did you get somebody to say, nah, I'm good, like I don't want to sign up?
Probably 10 to 20% of the time, if I'm dead honest. Do you know the reason why I did that, and I stuck by it from about year 4 all the way through my career, is because I learned from another PT. That approach normally brings about the clients who leave the room and still think about you in 24 hours like, shit, I want this. And they're the type of clients I really wanted. So it was a little bit of a sales tactic, if I'm honest, and I wasn't really a sales-driven person. But what I didn't want was to sign someone up and that willingness. And I know everyone has motivation dips, and we can talk about motivation, behavior change all day. But I wanted someone to be, I don't know, to wake up in the morning and the first email that they sent was, bam, I need to get all over this, because he said he's got restricted times left. So I really wanted that culture within my client base. So it really worked well for me. That did, 10 to 20% sometimes, just like. And I just send up a follow-up email and just be like, listen, not heard from you, and that's absolutely cool. Can I do anything to help you while she's still thinking about it? Do you need any more support? You've still got access to the group, social media group, and so on. So yeah, that's how it worked. And then,
so a lot of people would get them. I mean, I know I used to kind of do that now. And then obviously I worked with Suk, and he was very much like, get them to pay on the phone then and there, which is different, right? And then in the beginning, I used to shit myself. I was like, because at the very end, you have like this call script you've been working on, and then you get to the end and you got to go, so what do you prefer paying debit or credit? And you think, fuck, that's direct, right? But then people just go, yeah, cool, here we go. And then other people go, I'll step away. So it's just interesting to hear that.
I've never been that really sales driven person, mate. And you know that from the courses that I've delivered. And I always like to look at the ethos that I had. That I always wanted to make people feel like, I think the equivalent to this, mate, is that if you're going to invest a lot of money into something, which personal training is, if you're going to invest a lot of money into something as a consumer, it needs to excite you.
Yeah.
It excite you to a point where you're like, because I always kind of wanted them to go, I want them to go off and sleep on it and see if they wake up in the morning and wake up tomorrow and go, right, bam, I need to get this sorted today. And I just found that I had better buying, because bear in mind, I was saying something at my point in Fitness First and throughout my career, to be fair, that no other personal trainer was more or less doing. And that was a minimum of 6 months membership within my service. Like, no qualms doing that, because I knew that most of these corporate guys really struggled with levels of consistency because they're mad busy people. And I'm not going to change that in a 3-month period. Like, I wasn't going to do the ultimate performance high ticket sale of transforming someone in 3-4 months. That just wasn't me, but it was for me to do it over 6 months and still get the same result as, say, a UP.
Do you think those guys had more sustainable results though because of that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think for me, again, ethos wise, mate, you look, starting my career, like not my career, but I always wanted to be a coach, which is education. Like, there's a level of education in coaching, and that's stuck with me throughout my life. So I want my men who have been in my business to be able to sit in the pub on a Sunday or a Friday night or with the lads, and they're all talking about how to lose weight. And my guys will be like, bam, 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 you can just do X, Y, and Z. I've taught this. Don't worry about that. You can still have beers and you can still calorie cycle or whatever it is. They've got that level of education to go, yeah, I know what to do. So even when I'm out on, because essentially you want to coach people out of your business. Like, a lot of people, Chuck, I'm sure, will cringe at that because he's a massive sales guy, but you want to coach people out of your business. But that's the ethos that I had as well. And I think that only comes from level of education. And so that's kind of how it worked for me. And I only got to that point by evaluating my business in a sense of the average person stayed with me for around 7 months, 8 months. So I was like, why am I offering anything less here when all the other personal trainers were charging 5 and 10 sessions? And I was like, this doesn't make sense. And I need to make a sustainable income because I've got a little girl on the way. And that was the transition a little bit there. So yeah, kind of where I was at. And it was only later on in my career that I then put an aftercare product in place, which was like on distance coaching, which I have. Mate, there's a lot of people who'll be like, there's only certain types of people who can do online training. I've got a 62-year-old male in my online business, mate. So
I think again, it just depends what that person wants and how you can service them. But I'm the same. Although I'm doing a mentorship course with, again, he's very sales orientated, and I'm trying to sell on a call and stuff like that. I still want to get to know the people. I still want to make sure that I'm coaching them out of my business. And I've actually had people, and I know this episode's about you, so I'm not going to talk too much here. But I've actually had people go, what happens when I get my results and I want to leave? I'm like, that's perfect. And they go, well, what happens to you? And I'm like, don't fucking worry about it. Like, it's just funny when people ask you those questions.
Yeah. And do you know what, mate? And for any PTs that are listening here, these options now for you, like that, from a journey perspective, like someone can come in to your business, similar to situation to me, from the gym floor or whatever, be with you for 6 months, go into distance online coaching, off the back of go into hybrid coaching, go into online coaching, then go into a membership group, and that tier of price just drops throughout. And as the price drops, their education goes up, and their education, accountability, and motivation. And at any point, just like us all, at any point, they can probably turn around, sat in the membership group, paying £50 a month or whatever it is, to go, actually, I can't be arsed right now and I need a little bit more accountability. Let's dial back.
That's one of the biggest things that I learned off your advanced course that we teach the PTs, well, you guys teach them. And it was just kind of like how that flows. It's almost like a process where people can go, you know what, I need a bit of a kick up the ass sometimes, or actually I'm ready to go on to distant coaching, or I can do this, and how the marketing and the advertising works around it, and how it's not that different. It's just you have different products that are better for different people. And it's kind of what we're focusing on at the moment. And we're looking at all these different things, and it's a bit overwhelming at times, really. But if you just prioritize, kind of like we said before, like your 80-20 rule. So, 20% of your task going to give you 80% of your results. Like just keep doing that all the time if you can. And you'll probably notice you'll be more productive, more proactive, and get better results in the long term.
Yeah, mate. Do you know what? I mentioned that Fitness First course that helped me turn around? That was the first time I come into contact with Pareto's principle, you just said, didn't you?
Yeah.
That was the first time it was on that course. Yeah, but it's good advice, that is.
Yeah, cool. So last question on that bit before we wrap it up, mate, was because I guess like in a way you've kind of answered this question for me, but I was going to ask you if you think your service continues to evolve, but by the sounds of it, you've kind of found like what works for you. So you might tweak it a bit, but do you find you tweak things every now and then, or just kind of keeping it how it is?
It's been the same now for about 18 months. And I won't be changing that, I don't think. The only way I'd change that now is like
the back of house.
Yeah. I see so this is quite low for what. So for people to understand my role a little bit more, so obviously Pure Gym is the day job, which is the business manager role. We run the Mentor Academy outside of that, which is really, really busy at the minute, which is supporting mainly Pure Gym PTs and people in a private facility with their businesses. So outside of that, I've still got this personal training business that's online and offline. Now, I've got quite a few online clients, but I only have 6 hours of face-to-face PT now, and they're the same type of demographic now. The only thing that would change for me going forward, the only thing I would see changing is at some point soon, they're all going to have to switch to online because I'm not going to have much time, much longer, and so on. So yeah, this has been a perfect opportunity for me to assess when these 3 people I'm talking about here who do the sessions, where they would be at with it. It's been perfect. So 2 have been great. 1's been AWOL. So I even get that. This person having these frustrations now, I even get that. They're still texting me, but he's texting me to say all he's doing is eating and drinking. And whatever. Like, who cares? Like, as long as he's healthy and he's fine at the end of it, and that's all the bother. But what I'm saying is like, the transition now would be they'd move online. And I can't see, as sad as this is, and I can't come to terms with it, I just don't know if I would be face-to-face coaching anymore after that. But you never know what happens, mate. You just never know what happens. Like, every week I come up with another business idea that I want to go back into coaching full-time, open a new gym, all of that type of stuff. So you never know.
Yeah, just that time. It's that time of year where we've got too much time on our hands, really.
Some have.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. No, that's awesome, man. We'll appreciate that. I think, like I said before, some good kind of nuggets of info for PTs, consumers, what to look for, kind of what the next 3 to 6 months are going to look like. So appreciate that, man. Appreciate you taking the time. So just to finish it off, just going to do a quick little, quick fire round, 6 questions. All right. So go to 1RM track.
Go to 1RM track. I'm just going to, it's never a track, mate. It's a mix for me.
Oh, it's like an Ibiza mix.
Yeah, it's a black coffee mix, which is at Tomorrowland, mate. It's unreal. So that's the go-to mix.
Have you been to Tomorrowland though?
No.
On the bucket list?
Yeah, me. I'm getting a bit past it, you know. Maybe. Yeah.
I'm sure if I came and gave you 2 tickets to Tomorrowland and said, Mrs. said it's fine, you'd be like, yeah.
Mate, I'll be there tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Holiday destination. Where'd you go right now?
Oh, that's a good question, that. It's one of them questions like favourite film, innit? You never remember. Right now, because of how busy it is and how fucking knackered I am, probably somewhere like the Maldives to get away from people and just chill, mate.
It's a good show. And it looks sick, by the way.
Yeah.
Just looks nice.
Well, my other one, I'd probably just take the kids to Disneyland, mate, normally. That's me now.
Not Paris Disneyland, though, like Florida Disneyland.
No. Yeah.
The Maldives, by the way, are supposed to disappear in like the next fucking 10, 15 years or so.
I better fucking be quick then, aren't I?
Yeah.
I'm even looking at my eyes closing on this. I'm not tired. It's been a long day.
Yeah. It's all right, man. You look good. Go-to meal.
Steak.
Just straight steak. This guy never gets buns on his burgers and shit too. He just always takes the buns off.
No, I'll take the salad off. That's it.
Okay. I swear you took the bread away.
Yeah, steak or
peppercorn sauce or no?
Yeah, peppercorn. Yeah, or beef teriyaki or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you can't go wrong with a nice steak. Sirloin or what? Ribeye or what?
Fill it, mate. Fill it. Come on, son.
No, sirloin. I have a pretty funny story about steaks. I'll tell you later.
All right.
Best city outside of Manchester, because I know you're gonna fucking say Manchester.
Best city outside of Manchester. Within the UK?
Yeah.
Or within the UK? London's cool, but like it is cool, but I actually really like Edinburgh.
Yeah, I think Edinburgh's top notch.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's just really nice. People are super nice, and like
that's the difference, mate. It comes back to your values, doesn't it? And I think the values of like every time I go there, like the people are so nice, want to talk, caring, that type of stuff. So yeah, would you believe it? Not the hustle and bustle of London, but London's great.
Nice. If you could live in any other country besides the UK, where'd you go?
Oh. Live in any other country? These are the questions that I need to think about more often, mate. You put me on my toes here.
This is how a consultation should go, guys. You just stay quiet, let the guys think.
Yeah. I instantly thought, where would I work from then? That's not good, is it?
No, that's terrible balance.
Yeah, some part of America, mate. I don't know.
I don't know what it is about you UK people want to live in America. Doesn't make sense. Whatever. No. It's a good time. It is a good time. And then last question, yes or no to intermittent fasting?
Yes.
Sweet. Cool. So at Park, thanks a lot for again coming on the Fitness Burrito. So just to finish off, mate, tell the people where they can find you, what you've got going on, because clearly you've got a lot going on. So yeah, where can they find you? Socials, all that stuff.
Just Ant PTMA on Instagram. So normally I put my opinions up there. So yeah, PTMA on Instagram, that's about it. And then obviously you've got Nick PTMA. I'm sure you'll have him on at some point. He's not a massive social media guy, but to be fair to him, I give him some shit, but the guy is good at what he does. So follow him.
He's very good. Cool. Awesome. Cool. He also does, Mentorship Academy. Didn't mention that. He's got a few things going on. But yeah, I'm Dan Q. I'm the guy behind the Fitness Burrito, Avante Performance on socials. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Just gonna pause this now.